Joining us this morning is Rastine Mercado, Head of Research at China Bank Securities Corp. Good to see you again, Ras. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Kathy. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so what do you make of gaming stocks in this environment of heightened security? You just heard a couple of moments ago Mike Defensor of PlaySafe Alliance and of the unlinking of the online gaming platforms from e-wallets.
I think first, just some context. I mean, over the past month or two, you've seen weakness in gaming stocks, and that's mainly driven by the regulatory uncertainty around that, and that's mainly because investors in general don't like uncertainty, right? So now that we're progressing towards a conversation, having the facts out, so there's less uncertainty. There are conversations to be had. That in itself is a step in the right direction in the sense that it eases that uncertainty, right? But of course, it remains up in the air what the degree of their regulation, how that's going to be. But certainly, I think what we're seeing is that brick and mortar companies like Bloomberry, for example, have seen a little bit less volatility relative to those that are purely in the online space, right? So I think moving forward, a bulk or a large part of the uncertainty has already been priced in. There is certainly some scope for some oversold rallies based on technicals, but overall, we see that investors will be very closely monitoring how the regulation or how regulations are going to pan out and will react accordingly.
And on top of that, the rebalancing, the PSCI rebalancing, I mean, the impact so far that those had on who's been in and out. I mean, Bloomberry is out and Digi Plus is in.
Yeah. So on Friday, that was effectively the last day you needed to have those stocks in if you're an index tracking fund, right? Of course, Bloomberry did see some weakness because you're expecting some selling pressure given the removal. But moving past that, you're seeing some interest in the sense that that overhang is gone, right? You did see some soft earnings from them, but given that, investors reacting to that, and then the overhang from the selling pressure given the index rebalancing, there was certainly some scope for recovery. I think we saw a bit of that yesterday, and that continued to be so in the near term, right? As investors kind of move past all of the negatives and kind of more closely digest what's there. DigiPlus did see buying interest late in the week, last week, given the inclusion, and I think it's still seeing some lingering buying appetite as well. But overall, in terms of these two stocks, I think what's going to be important is, again, what happens from a regulatory standpoint. And it's good that we're actually progressing towards kind of resolving the uncertainty here there.
Looking more broadly, before the Bangko Central's policy rate decision on August 28th, there's the Jackson Hole Symposium on Friday, where Fed Chair Jay Powell speaks. So what can we expect from that?
I think, well, the Jackson Hole speech has historically been sometimes a pivotal moment. I think when the U.S. was kind of battling inflation, that proved to be a market-moving event, right? But I think what investors and markets are looking forward to hearing is what will weigh more on investors' minds, right? You have the Fed that's data dependent, and yet you have two different sets of data that are important to them: inflation and then unemployment. Inflation is taking a little bit higher. And then unemployment was unexpectedly soft, right? So what will weigh more in policymakers' mind? I think that's what markets are going to want to get out of that speech. In terms of rate cut expectations for the Fed, of course, those two data points kind of influence that. So it's oscillated, right? From between near zero cuts for the Fed sometime within the year, moved back to 2, and then 1, and then 3, and then back to 2, right? So it's really been markets reacting depending on what data comes out, and we expect that to remain the case up until the next Fed meeting, which is in September.
Yeah, and I hear that the bond traders are quite nervous going into Jackson Hole. Thank you so much, Rastine Mercado, for your insights of China Bank Securities.